Welcome to episode 2 of the Senioritis podcast. I'm joined with my co-hosts Aaron Johnson, Matthew Lyons, and Joe Beaver. And today we have a very special guest who just won a very close and very hard election for class president, Rachel Barrett. How are you doing, Rachel?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great.
How was the campaign trail?
It was difficult, running unopposed. It, got all the nerves. No, but it was nice to see senior year that I kind of had secured it already, because with college applications and everything, it was one less thing to stress about.
Was it hard to debate against yourself, or was that rather easy?
It was pretty difficult. I mean, I'm a very I consider myself very stubborn, and I'm very very loud and very I don't know, I just feel like arguing with myself actually would be a difficult task, but no, it was nice. It was weird though, filming that video that we had to film for your what was it, technically it was supposed to be your speech, but
right.
Would you rather do that in person in front of all the people, or?
I mean, either works, but it was weird because I had already won, so I was just thanks guys.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I suppose to normally you'd be arguing why you're the better candidate, but this year it was thanks for the great 3 years that I've been here and allowing me to serve my last year.
Cool. I know it's only been a few weeks now, but so far, what are some of the biggest challenges about being the president this year with COVID?
One of the biggest things I would say is I kind of have to act almost like a mom in some aspects. There was a certain situation that was going on where some people wanted to do some things that weren't, that we shouldn't have, they wanted to have big gatherings and do certain things like powder puff. They wanted to still have powder puff. And I was trying to, it's as a student, that I'm a little frustrated that we can't have that because of COVID this year. But then I also have to argue, I kind of have to reason with people and be no, Brady, we can't have powder puff. I understand you're frustrated, but we can't do it because the COVID numbers are too high and all of that sort of thing. So I think that's the biggest difficulty being class president is there's a lot of things that I kind of have to be almost the teacher in a student form, if that makes sense. And kind of break it to people that unfortunately, because of the circumstances this year, there are certain things we can't do. We can't just pretend like it's a normal year.
Yeah. Did you have any doubts about running again? Did you think this year is going to be weird, I should step out, or did you always want to kind of finish what you started?
Well, one of the biggest things that's always been, my mom's always told me, and has always been in the back of my mind, is once you're president senior year, you're the president for the rest of your life. So with all the class reunions and everything, we still have to plan those and organize that. So I was that was kind of nerve-wracking that we're going to be responsible for this, the four of us, for the rest of our lives. But no, I mean, I've kind of always known that I wanted to, bring it home, take it to the end. But one thing that was nerve-wracking was because of everything going on. For the longest time, I didn't know if I was going to run unopposed or run against someone. So that was kind of nerve-wracking. But no, it was a little difficult, especially now. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to say at graduation, that sort of thing. But it is something that I've always wanted. So there wasn't any doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to run this year.
And I didn't even realize that about your job. You kind of say no to everybody.
Yeah.
That must be. It's tough, but it's gotta be mentally challenging as well.
Yeah, I mean, especially there are certain things I want to do too, and this is pre-COVID, certain things that I would love to do, but we just can't have happen. I don't know. One of the biggest things this year that we were trying to do and that we're still working on is trying to reinstate senior privileges. And all these people, I know some people are coming to me oh, we want to eat outside and we don't want to do all that. And I was that would be great. But unfortunately, I agree with you. I would love that too. But with the circumstances, we can't have that. But I mean, it stinks. Yeah. Having to say no to everyone all the time. But at the same time, I signed up for it. So I kind of knew what was coming with the position.
Do you like saying no at all? Is there like a
Um,
sense of empowerment you get from saying no? I
I
forbid
mean,
that.
yes and no. Like there are certain times that I love, I can like play the card of like, well, administration would be really mad at us if we did this. And because like there are certain things that like personally I don't think is a good idea if we were to try to do them. And that it's just like people's like, dreaming of that, like we can do this one thing. And I'm just like, no, sorry guys, we can't do that. Like, and I like list logical reasons. Then they're like, oh, I guess I can't argue with her. But then there are other times that are like, again, there are things I really wish we could do that we can't do. So it kind of like stinks, like almost like don't shoot the messenger. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. I don't control these things. And I think a lot of people think that I do, but I really don't. I kind of just, I'm almost like I said, like the messenger between administration and the like our class. So like there are certain things that in past years they've like shut down, and I'm sorry, I don't know what you guys want me to do about this. And they just expect like I can like click a button and make it happen. I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, so aside from, all this being president stuff, what have you thought about, the way school, as in like classes and everything, has been going, especially with the shift from, we went fully remote, and we were not very happy about that last week. And now we're back in hybrid, and I'm much happier with that schedule. Which one do you prefer? What do you think the transition was like for you?
For me, it was pretty easy. I mean, it's also difficult because like there are some classes that I prefer all remote, like English, I prefer all remote because we get like it's mainly discussion based and we get 2 days a week to discuss as opposed to one. But then other classes like calculus, it's like I'd much rather be in class. So it's very dependent on the class. Also, I think like, I mean, I think we're all in the same boat of like, I wish it could just go back to normal. And I wish we could just have a regular senior year, but unfortunately it can't. So I don't know. I think that on like from a student's perspective, for my classes in specific, the like the transition was pretty seamless. I think the teachers did a really good job, especially compared to the spring when they kind of had like no notice. They were very prepared this year, and I think like we just have to like make the best out of the situation. Like I said, there's not one I necessarily prefer to another. As like in general, I do like being in the building, like you said, like hybrid, like being able to see everyone. But it also is like very dependent on the class.
I completely agree. And I think every teacher handled it differently, and some
Yeah.
teachers handled it better than others. I think some teachers like thrived on the online like method, and some of them did not. And um different things would happen where we'd get like a lot of work or like not enough work or whatever the case may be. And I hope that if we do have to go fully remote again, I think that it will be even smoother than last time, hopefully, especially with the way that it worked last time with the cohorts. And like it seemed like one cohort was ahead, and then that like first week was like a catch-up week. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. But if it does, hopefully it will be even smoother than last time.
Yes.
So going back, seems like a few years ago, back to March when we first shut down. Being the class president, did you really like, I don't want to say do anything, but was there much that you could do when there was like no school? Did you still plan for like the future prom, or was it just
Yeah.
kind of up in the air?
So that we actually, I don't think a lot of people realize this, but we actually kind of worked overtime once school got canceled because we had to so like with the timing of everything, it was like right before prom packets were due. So
Mhm.
most of them had been turned in and they were like in Mr. Cutter's room. And then the rest of them, like people had on them. So it was like a weird, like, I had to go to the school one day and like pick them up. And then people were like dropping them off at my house or like sending them pictures. And I kind of like took the burden upon myself to like completely control like everything. I like did like a whole like spreadsheet of like the certain like elements of the prom packet that everyone needed to have like completed and like the permission slips and everything. And so it was actually for the first like couple weeks, it was extremely stressful because I had a bunch of in-person copies that I had to go through. Then I had people dropping stuff off at my house. Then I also had people emailing me different things. So it was like, it was so crazy and so hectic. And then after we kind of got through all that, we also had to completely like replan prom kind of like so we had to like get in touch with the venue, and we obviously the first time we rescheduled it was for September, and then we had to reschedule it again for April. So there's a lot of other things that we were talking about. We had a lot of Zoom meetings just like this with the 5 of us, and we were kind of trying to brainstorm, what we could do for fundraising and what we could do for, other events that we were trying to plan, because obviously like it's extremely difficult to have certain things with like COVID. And that was kind of as we got deeper into it and realized, like, because at first everyone was like, oh yeah, with no school for a few weeks. But as we got deeper into it and people were like, oh, this is like seriously real, we kind of had to brainstorm and like figure everything out. And now we're discussing like, do we want to make prom, because like of obviously like different people's financial situations, do we want to make prom a lot cheaper because we have the money in the bank for that, make prom a lot cheaper for people? And sorry, my dog just like came in. Make prom a lot cheaper, but then, not hold a senior reception and do like a senior carnival or something like that. So there's a lot of things. We have been doing like Zoom calls, and especially with the change in administration too. Over the summer, I had quite a few like Zoom calls or Teams meetings with like Mr. Bourne and Miss Clements, just like meeting them and kind of like figuring out, what our plan was for this year, that sort of thing. So it has been very hectic. I think, for most people, it was just like, very easy, but we kind of had to, like I said, like go into overtime and work double as much as we would have in person because of everything that was going on.
What's your personal opinions on prom? Do you think that's going to happen or no? Because that's it's coming up.
I'm going to give you the answer that no one likes to hear. And it's dependent on where COVID is. And I know everyone's like, okay, yeah, but like, can you give me a more definitive answer? But that's seriously it. I mean, there are like a few vaccines that are coming out, and if they actually work, and this is, starting to I'm not going to say go away, but if this is starting to like kind of subside by the spring, then absolutely. There's a couple other options we have, like having like an outdoor prom. That would be a little like more like COVID friendly. So we're kind of like brainstorming some ideas to, or just switching to a senior reception. So it's only like our class, if that makes sense. So then the number of people like gets cut in half. So we're kind of brainstorming a lot of different ideas. I'm optimistic. I hope it will happen. But as of right now, if like the COVID numbers are the same in the spring, probably not. But again, hopefully they improve. And like I said, with the vaccines and everything, we're crossing our fingers.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Have you talked to like the junior president or any of their staff about what they're doing for prom or what their plans are? Because this will be like the first year we have like two in like
proms,
the same year.
So we haven't like directly talked to the advisors, but are kind of like, because we lucked out with having a prom in April. So our guess would be that they're going to have one in March, which I know like for a lot of like girls and guys, like having to like rent a second tux, like if you go to both. But no, we haven't talked to like their advisors and everything. I think everything is like so hectic right now.
Yeah.
But that is definitely something we will do in the future, because I like you mentioned, I haven't even thought of like, because our prom is basically planned. We just have to like figure out when it's going to happen, versus theirs. They have to like completely form like the prom committee, and they have to like pick a theme and do all that sort of thing. So I feel bad for them in that sense.
Yeah.
That they're kind of starting from scratch.
At least they have another year though. Like it's not like we're at the deadline. Like if it doesn't happen this year, it's not happening. Like they've got a year to kind of piggyback off.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I could see them even just saying, okay, there's going to be too many regulations if we do it this year. Let's just wait till next year. But we don't have that luxury, I guess.
And then Abington might just switch to a senior prom.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a new pitch, right? Open mind, everybody. New pitch. So I can't do guessing it from the weekly wave because then I have to hand out like food. But I was also thinking of doing like, this is like right off the dome, so just give me a moment to like process this. Actually, it did came from executive director Kevin Tachi with the idea, but kind of like one episode a month, exotic foods, spicy, weird, all that stuff. Because I mean, I'm not a picky eater. I'm just wondering if you'd like to see if like, because like we're all in like a bubble of the interns, so I want to know like someone outside our bubble, What do you think?
I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be like just like you doing it, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would want to bring on guests, but I feel like a lot of people aren't willing to do that.
I mean, I feel like I'd be down. Like, yeah,
Like,
that sounds cool.
okay. I'll keep
Even
that
if
in
there's
mind.
no guests, just watch you eat like really spicy foods and really
It's just
disgusting
Aaron in this
like
kitchen.
bugs and stuff.
Yeah, eating like squid.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean, I would
like
watch
bugs.
that. I mean, I don't like watching people eat, but I feel like Aaron is a very descriptive person,
Yeah,
and I
like
mean,
watch Aaron eat like a chocolate covered cricket or something like that.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and why just describe it as I eat it? Just
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be funny.
I mean, we all need entertainment. I think,
yeah.
from COVID, we've all kind of watched everything we're gonna watch and things like that. Rachel, during all this time, I mean, class president, student, believe you have a job.
I have
How have you
two now.
been? Oh,
Wow.
Yes, that's
okay.
wonderful.
So how have you balanced everything?
I think the biggest thing is like because I watched over the summer, I watched a lot of like and I recommend anyone to do this, like pre-med students or like pre-law students, like their studying habits. Because I've always been like a floater student and I've always done well without having to try. And now in like these like high, like especially last year, I think I was like, it was like a reality check because I actually had to like dedicate time to like studying and everything versus in the past, I really hadn't had to do that. But I think like the biggest thing is like setting time for yourself to like sit down, be productive, like actually get stuff done. And when you're going to be productive, like put your phone like away from you and sit down and actually like usually Wednesdays are my day where I'm like sitting at my desk all day. I'm trying to get as much schoolwork as I can done. And also like I'm a very like big planner. So I always figure out like on Monday, I figure out, okay, this is every single thing I need to do on Tuesday during my study and during bridge block. And then on Wednesday, because I like plan everything out ahead of time. And then also you need to give yourself time where like, if you aren't feeling too great or if you're super stressed out, just like binge a Netflix show in bed. Like that's the other big part of it. It's like you need to dedicate time to be productive, but you also need to dedicate time to kind of like chill out because if you have too much of either, it's just going to be a big mess.
I
Yeah.
totally agree with that.
I mean, so are you still working at Dunkin' Donuts then?
Yes.
And then,
I'm a hostess at Miragaza now too.
wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And
Well,
class president.
it's
and
honestly,
student.
it's not as like, I don't know. I feel like it's not as hard as like it may seem just because like I always like to be like doing things. So it's not like I was on a college interview and the interviewer was like a senior and he was like, how do you sleep? I was like, I sleep way too much. I was like, it's just like, it's all about balance. It's like, I don't work like overall, I don't work like too much. I like pick up shifts when I can when I'm not busy. When I need to dedicate time to schoolwork, I don't work as much that week, like that sort of thing. So it's all about balance. It's not like, because I think last year I definitely like I worked way too much and then had way too much schoolwork. So then it was just like a disaster. But this year I kind of learned to like, as long as everything's like don't pick up every single shift. I can pick up a bunch of shifts at work when I'm not busy with school. But if I'm busy with school, I need to like just stick to what I've like already picked and like dedicated to.
Yeah.
Did
So
you
so your jobs are very like good about that. They'll let you kind of pick your
Yeah.
shifts and what you like. They'll work
Yeah.
around your schedule. That's right. That's very fortunate. So
I know. I like my cousin used to work at the paper store and they like gave her her schedule and told her when she was working that
yeah.
week. I was like, I didn't even know because I mean, the jobs I've worked at, it's like you have your shift and then you can either get it off if someone wants it. Like a girl was just asking, she took my shift because she wanted to work Friday. I was like, yeah, sure, you can take it. So it's very flexible. But yeah, my cousin like hated working there because they just like told her when she was going to work.
Yeah.
Do you
Did
have
you? Sorry.
Go on, Matt, go on,
No,
Matt.
no, no, no. You go.
No, because I saw you were waiting. So go.
Zoom is tough because like I have bad timing and it just always. But did you like after March when restaurants were closed, obviously school was closed, did you have trouble kind of having like nothing to do and then having to transition back into working overtime, or would you just kind of dying to go back to that work life?
Well, I never stopped working throughout quarantine because Dunkin' Donuts was still open because apparently
Oh,
Dunkin'
okay.
Donuts is a necessity.
I agree with that. Yeah. Frontline
But
workers.
no, there was a point in time where I took like it was when my grandma was starting dialysis and like my family drives her for the most part. So my mom was nervous because someone at work had or we weren't told who, but like someone at work had it, and I was like possibly exposed. So I took like 3 weeks off during that to not work. But I think like at the beginning with like the AP exams and everything, I was still pretty busy. And then during the summer was definitely tough because you have like not a lot of things to do. But a lot of like what I would do is like we had the AP Lit summer work, so that kept me busy. And then also like my sister and I, and then two of our cousins who we kind of like quarantined with almost, we would just go out for rides. Like we would just drive to the beach. We rented a beach house too, so that like helped. We were there for 2 weeks, so like just like even being in like a different location.
Yeah.
But no, there were times where I would just be like sitting in my room, and I was like, I wish that I had something to do. I think everyone was probably in that. Like, I wish there was more, but.
Yeah. Do you have any like unique tips for like time management? Like for example, like for me, like whenever I feel myself getting like unfocused, if that's a word, I'll throw on like lo-fi hip hop music or like even opera music. I'm weird like that. It
No,
just
yeah.
it like hones my mind in. Do you have like any like unique kind of weird things that help you focus?
I think the biggest thing is like cutting out distractions. And I know it sounds so like it's just like a broken record, but like seriously, just put your phone on the charger. Like just do it. Just put it across the room on the charger. That really helps. Another thing that really helps is like when I'm going to sit down to do homework, I have to have everything. So I have like my earbuds, and I listen to classical music on like super low, and that really helps. Because I know like being a dancer, but just like being myself, if I put on music that I know, I won't get anything done. I'll just like jam out. So I put on like I said, classical music. I have my water with me. I have my backpacks right next to me. Like anything that I know I'm going to need, I just have in my area, so I don't have to get up for it. Like I said, having the phone across the room. Another thing that helps is like that I found with like time management specifically, I have on my computer like this like stickies like app. I write out all the homework I have for the week, and then I bold when I need to prioritize. And then I have a whiteboard in my room, and I write out what I want to get done for that day. And I go by due dates on Canvas, because Miss Howell was saying that in our mentor meeting the other day. Canvas actually has like a lot of good options for like you have list view, which is like sorts everything by due date. You have the calendar view, which is like shows everything on the calendar. For class, you have like the to-do list. So like I kind of just use those and just go. I mean, I might have like a bunch of things I need to get done, but I think if you just like go in order and just like, because if you stress yourself out, you're not going to get anything done.
You're right.
That was like me like junior year of high school. If you're way too stressed out about what you need to do, you're just going to be stressing about everything and not get anything done. So just like breaking things down into like smaller assignments really helps.
Yeah, we were talking about this on the last episode, and it's just making a list.
Yeah.
There's like plenty of apps out there, plenty of, you could write one down, but like Matt was saying, crossing something off a list like really helps. Like when you like dig in, you finish that math homework and you just cross it off a list, or you check it off on the app or whatever, even submitting it on Canvas, like anything like that is really big. Joe, is there anything that you do?
So I like to write things down, and I had a question for you, Rachel. So do you tackle like smaller assignments first? Do you go after like bigger projects, or is there a certain like way you go about things when you're looking at like how big an assignment is?
Yeah. So like, for example, like this week, like you're in my anatomy class, we have like the big like 3D like model that we have to do. So like what I'll usually do is like I plan out. I actually got this from off TikTok. There's a girl that I follow. She goes to Cornell, and she has like a lot of great tips of like how she manages her time and does things. So like I'll, sort by, I do like smaller assignments just to get them done. But then for the bigger assignments, like big projects, or like we have a big paper due for English. So like I'll break it down by day. So like, okay, like today, perfect example, like I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy everything I need for the project. I'm like going to plan it out, buy everything I need. And then tomorrow it's like, I'm going to start on this section. So I kind of like, for bigger projects, I sort it into like smaller little parts. For the English paper, it's like, Miss Tomlin said it in class yesterday. She's like, first you want to like compile all your sources. So we have to have like, from the books that we were working with, like from the text, and then also from like research databases. So I'm going to like sort that into 2 separate days. And I think when you just like really break it down, so everything's kind of like a small little assignment or a small little piece, then it doesn't get overwhelming. That's what I found is like if you just like sort it out by like by, you know, whatever day I want to have this part of the project done, then it really helps. So I like breaking everything down.
Yeah. I'm definitely a like get all the small assignments out of the way and then do the big assignments,
Yeah.
because there's nothing worse than when you like tackle this huge assignment and like you finally finish it and then you have all these small ones to do afterwards. So that's how I do. What about everyone else?
I usually go for the smaller things first. Like if I have like one little math thing, I'll do that, get that done, and then like I'll save like the bigger projects for maybe like the weekend if they have like a due date that's different from the rest of the smaller stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Might be more time to do it. So
Aaron, Matt?
I don't really have a way to do that. I basically just kind of go first with what I'm most excited to do, which like it doesn't happen often, but if there's like I don't know, like for Mind Body Spirit, if there's like a PowerPoint to do, we had to do like a yoga one the other day, and I photoshopped a picture of my face on this like woman doing this crazy pose where like her legs were up in the air. So like if there's something that I have like a gravitation towards, I do that first, and then it's I guess whatever comes first, due date wise. There's not really a whole lot of rhyme and reason to what I do.
No method to the madness.
Not quite.
Aaron?
For me, I have to get the small ones done because I'm very forgetful, which means I probably should make a list. Haven't got on that. I said I would. I haven't. I know, but because like when I do like a big project, I'm just like, all right, I'm done. Like there's nothing more for the day. Like I'm clocking out. And then there'll always be like that one like digital art, like just like draw a stick figure, and then I'll miss the due date, and I'll just be pissed. So I have to get all of my small ones done and then tackle the big ones.
Yeah.
I also go by class. Like, do you guys go by class?
Yeah,
I go in order
sometimes
of
do
my
like
classes.
period order. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's how I write things out. And then like if it's all pretty much like aside from I'll save the big things to the end, but if it's all like small things, I just go in order of my classes.
Yeah, if I have no projects, it goes from period 1 to 7. Like that's just how I do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Especially if I have like a study or a bridge block and I can like
Yeah.
get like my period 1 stuff done before my or whatever it may be. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Aaron?
Happens, Aaron.
I've got one thing that I think Rachel you can answer very well.
Okay.
And this is kind of like to end us off. If that's all right. So we see. I don't know why I was thinking about this earlier, but we see a lot of like stereotypes, like especially with like the baby boomers and then like the millennials, like they trash on each other. What do you think is the other generation's like appearance of us? Like what do they think of us? Because I don't like I feel like we're just like the age of the participation trophy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yes. And I can, yeah. No, that's actually a really good like way of putting it. I think it's difficult because everyone parents so differently. But like there are like one of my mom's like best friends, so she has 3 sons, and like as a girl, like I think my personal opinion, I think sons get like cradled a lot more. That's just my personal opinion. Sorry to all of you. I know I'm like the odd man out in this, but
No,
I
I
see it
agree.
especially like my cousins Riley and Ronan. Like Riley's a grade above us, and she's like the best kid in the world. Like she's amazing. And then her little brother Ronan, we call him the prince because like he's just like gets everything he wants, and like we kind of like he even jokes about it sometimes. But I think like honestly though, just like kids in general kind of like now, like you said, it's the age of the participation trophy, but it's also like they're very coddled by their parents. Like I said, my mom's best friend has 3 sons, and like some of them are like 20. Like I think her oldest is like either 21 or 22, and she like in high school would like pick out their clothes and like iron them and like do their laundry. And like I'm like I've been doing my own laundry since like 6th grade. I don't know about any of you guys, but I mean I also am like I'm a very independent person, but I just think that's a bit dramatic. But I do think like parents now, I think with everything going on between like social media. And actually my parents and I were just talking about this the other night. I was an only child. My sister was at work, so I was the only child the other night, and we were talking about how like, I mean, I don't know about any of your parents, but like there are definitely parents that I see that like with the whole Life 360 thing, and parents that I've babysat for, like I also think like parents have no trust in their children now. And for me, like my parents have always trusted my sister and I to like have our own social medias and like have our phones, and they don't, I think when I was like little, like on my first phone, like my parents would like go through it and just like whatever. But I mean, now in high school, like I know that like some parents, like you have to like charge it in the kitchen, and like they completely go through everything and like know exactly what their like kids are talking, like are saying, like texting their friends about in high school. I'm like, I think that's so I mean, everyone parents differently, and I'm not saying anything's right or wrong because like obviously I haven't been a parent, but just from like a kid's perspective, knowing that my parents trust me versus like I know that there are some kids that their parents like don't trust them at all and just like are so completely like, I don't know. Everyone's different, but I think that's the biggest thing. Is like parents now, like on a general spectrum, from what I've seen, like very much coddle their kids and
Yeah.
don't really like. And for me, it's like I've kind of like my mom and I are the same exact person. So I mean, you guys know me. You can imagine how my mom is. We've always like butt heads, but she's always like, and I'm like independent by nature, but I've kind of just like done my own thing. But some parents, it kind of scares me because then it's like I have to live in like the real world with these people that have never had to like do anything for themselves.
Yeah.
Like that's what kind of scares me about college next year. Like, and I'm just gonna bring up laundry. And I know like some people, like my mom does my laundry every once in a while. And I'm not like, if your mom does your laundry, I'm not saying anything bad about you, but it just like scares me that next year I'm gonna be going to college with some people that have never had to like do anything for themselves without their parents. Like that concerns me.
I think you brought up a really great point there. I feel like there's two kind of things I want to focus on there. I feel like boundaries. My parents personally respect my boundaries, but I feel like a lot of parents don't respect their kids' boundaries, and I do definitely think that this age is kind of coddled. I think that they've kind of, because I mean, when like you're younger, like in like the younger grades, like, oh yeah, your parents, well at least my parents, they did the laundry for me and all that stuff. But now it's like, now we're older, it's like you got to get a job, you got to do all your own laundry, and I'm pretty scared too, or everybody else.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. I think another aspect of our generation is this whole social media. Like I feel like people our age almost don't know how to be polite in a way, because it's so easy to just talk however you want to on social media. But then like when it comes to face and people are talking like the same way they do on social media, it's very weird. I don't have social media. I'm not on Snapchat. I'm not on Instagram, which are like the primary ones that I feel like people use. So those are the ones I stay away from. But I feel like that's a big aspect of it too, with people being so like connected through that, and the way you talk on that kind of being the way you talk in real life. And especially with the pandemic now, we're like, that's like everyone's primary like mode of communication probably during this, with like not really being able to see people in person as much. So I think that's another big thing that are like, to answer Aaron's question, that like adults see us as is like the social media, the hashtag like generation, so to speak.
And it concerns me, like you guys know, like I'm super into like mental health, like advocacy and everything, and it concerns me. Like I've heard so many people be like, if I don't get like 400 likes on this photo, I'm going to kill myself. And I'm like, what? Like, I mean, I have all the social medias, but I'm a very like, I don't really care kind of person. Like, I could care less, but like some people genuinely, like our age, genuinely like account their worth to how popular they are and like how people see them. And it's just like, it's so concerning to me because like, I feel like you mentioned, it's like the hashtag generation and everything. And it's like, it concerns me to see like kids our age, because Instagram's probably not going to be around in 10 years. And then what are you going to do with yourself? Like, right. I mean, I think it's like fun. It can be fun to be part of. And like, for me personally, like I love like watching like funny things. Like most of my Instagram or like my TikTok is just like funny videos, but like it can be so, as much as it can be a great thing, it's like it can be so toxic, and it can be so like damaging to someone's like self-esteem, because I feel like we're kind of in this constant competition with each other. Like, I know like people always joke about like girls are like so nice to each other, but like secretly just like they hate each other and are competing against each other. And it's just like, it's so toxic, and it's so just like, it really scares me for our future, for like when we're older. And I mean, it's probably going to evolve. I don't think social media will go away, but when it's like, I don't know, it
There's
just,
other things that matter more all of a sudden.
yes,
And now,
like so much,
what do you do? Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
know it's very concerning.
Going off of what you said and what Derek said, and to answer Aaron's question, like to kind of snake around everyone's points, I feel like people are going to see us as the quotients. We are like what's come of like this divided age. Because going off of, like parent styles with like the baby boom, there was a book that told you like how to parent. It was social media, like there's all these different books and articles and videos. So I feel like everyone's point is validated. And so there's this like constant war of like people who are like, oh, my kid's his own person, or they can do whatever they want. Then there are the parents that are like, my kid needs to be protected. I need to do everything for him. This world's going to eat them alive. And I feel like there's this constant battle between the two. And I feel like we're kind of what is going to come of that. And I
Yeah,
feel like you see that with social media. Like, I feel like it's half and half. Half the kids are independent, half of them are coddled. I don't think there's a whole lot of like in between. So I think
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see like how we kind of um like interact with one another when our like worlds collide, if that makes any sense.
I definitely agree with that. I feel like it's like two extremes. Like
Mhm.
there's no in the middle, and I feel like if you found that kind of area where there's a balance of independence and like how coddled I guess you are, it's like that could be a very beneficial way of I guess parenting. Um,
Yeah.
so
I think there's like a fine line where, you shouldn't let your kid go out and do drugs and, get into trouble like that. But at the same time, you shouldn't necessarily, I mean, I'm not going to make a statement on what's better than the other, but I think that, going through someone's phone every day is a bit of an invasion of privacy. So I feel
yeah,
like there's definitely a possible middle ground, but we're just not there yet. And I think that maybe, just maybe, because of the way our generation is, like, our generation, when we all have kids and we all like that next generation might be more balanced and in the middle, just because we've seen both extremes, and then we can kind of learn from each of them and be like, all right, maybe take a little bit of this from that, a little bit of
yeah.
that, and
It is
see.
scary. Like Life 360 tells you like how fast some like your like person in your family's driving. Like that's just so crazy to me. I was like, because I was like I said, I was talking about my parents, talking with my parents about this the other night, and I was like, I really appreciate that you trust me, because what I've found and what I've seen is like usually the type of people whose parents kind of let them be independent are like the ones who aren't going out and like doing those things, versus what I've seen is like the kids with parents that are over like